Alright, so Doom Patrol episode 8, Danny Patrol. So this episode really, um, I've got to say, this is the first episode of Doom Patrol I did not enjoy. It was quite the surprise. I didn't really enjoy it. It was meh at best, and other times it was cringeworthy. And it has nothing to do with the whole storyline, the whole, you know, gay and drag queen LGBT stuff. It's we don't really need a story like this set in this time. People are already largely more acceptant of gay people and LGBT people and people of color, more so than they are of straight white males. So I really did not want to get some kind of SJW story at this point. Now I understand that Danny is, he is depicted as he is in the comic books. He's a flamboyant street that sends messages to his citizens, his Danians, or whatever you want to call them, through messages written in words all over the place. But the story, it added nothing to the overall plot, nothing new, nothing of substance, nothing to move things forward. I felt like this was a very filler episode, and it was a very POC episode, politically correct SJW type episode. I did not like it, and there was really nothing in here. Sure, there was some decent flashbacks to Negative Man's past. There was some decent elaborations on that, but did we really need it? No, I don't think so, because it's already been established, how he felt about being gay, how he was afraid of how people would react to it, and, there's all kinds of stuff in here that it just feels very shoehorned down your throat, and it gets very like flamboyant in musical terms, and doing the whole drag queen thing, and right now drag queens are something that just you got child drags and stuff, and people cheering this kind of stuff on in real life, and that kind of stuff's despicable. Now, if you want to be a drag queen, be a drag queen by all means, but don't let a child be a drag queen. That's why I can't get on board with the type of message they're trying to send here in this episode. Acceptance and stuff. People already accept this stuff. People accept drag queens, the LGBT type people. Why are we getting an episode about acceptance and normalcy? Why are we getting an episode like this when this stuff is more accepted than the normal today? You can see it all from journalists, every left-wing leaning person, like far left person, all these identity politics and crap. We don't need all this stuff in an episode. Doom Patrol has been great for escapism and its weirdness. And Danny the Street is a very weird character to go ahead and introduce, but overall the episode really added nothing to moving the series forward or fleshing out characters any more than they were already fleshed out. It felt like just a really, really hardcore filler episode. It was blah, meh, at best, in my opinion. Now, it may be due to, all the stuff that's constantly thrown in your face all over, everywhere. It's like you have to accept these type of people, when for the most part we already do accept all the LGBT type people. So to get in, when you're going for escapism, that you're constantly hearing this type of stuff in reality, reading this type of stuff in reality, it's not really what you want. So hopefully the next episode will be a lot better than this one was. There's really not much to say in terms of story. It was what it was. You know, this soldier went into this. He went into undercover to this Danny the Street world where all this LGBT stuff was widely accepted, and weirdos, you know, the type of people that are casted out from society are accepted, and it's what breathes life into Danny, keeps him going, keeps him running. And this soldier decided to stick around there and, you know, cut himself off from his peers, and Danny moves around. He teleports all over the world, so he can't be found, he can't be caught, or whatever, by this group of soldiers that the Department of Normalcy, I can't remember exactly what it was called, and it's the guy in the comic books that's always after Danny too. But to have Cyborg and Negative Man go here and get into this whole story where this former soldier, he's been hiding out here as a drag queen, and there's really not much to say, even the climax to it when the soldiers finally do show up, and you know, it's just this drag queen soldier, former soldier, taking on his buddy and beating him in a street fight. And it just, you know, it never felt like there were really any stakes in the episode. It felt like it was very shoehorned in identity politics, and it was just a mess, in my opinion, that added no depth or substance to what we already have. On the other side, the subplot was somewhat entertaining, with Crazy Jane running off and one of her other personalities taking over, and Robot Man. Robot Man was not too entertaining this episode, as he was all sad and in his feelings about hurting Jane's feelings and trying to apologize to her, and not really getting to apologize to her because she's this completely different personality. And Rita had some good moments with her, but for the most part, you know, this version of Jane, this personality of her, is just indoctrinating people to love her, and it felt very real, the way relationships are in real life, how you've got this person who constantly shows up in this other person's life and tries to get them to accept them back, and if they do, that person ends up destroying their life, and the parents are all flipping out on this guy that Jane's with, this poor dude that she keeps using powers on to make love her again and take her back. And the parents were like, you cannot, this woman's destroying your life, she does this to you all the time. And all that stuff was really funny. And then Robot Man I didn't really find it really too interesting, this boy coming up and doing the robot sort of dance off against Robot Man, and I didn't even understand why that was really in there. It just, like I said, this episode largely felt like filler. So you had Jane, though, when Robot Man finally went in the house and confronted Jane, he was just completely crazy. Like, Rita told her not to move too fast, and next thing you know, she's proposing to the guy. And it's just, so Robot Man's like, what the hell is going on here? That stuff was great. The reactions of the parents to this woman coming back into their son's life, and Robot Man's ultimate reaction to her saying she's gonna marry this dude, and she wants him to walk her down the aisle, and he's like, what? This is crazy. This is nonsense. And he ends up, you know, knocking her down, and she just kind of gets lost in herself. She gets pulled down into the underground of her personalities, and that's something I look forward to in the next episode, seeing what all's going on down there. How many personalities are we gonna see of Jane's? It looks like it's gonna be a great character exploration for for Jane, and we're gonna get to see a lot of personalities. That's what I'm hoping, anyways. But this episode really sucked for me, man. It was a shock. Like, I looked forward to Doom Patrol every week, and this episode was the first disappointment, like real disappointment. I mean, last week was, there were some things I didn't like about the episode, but this week there was almost nothing I appreciated. You know, I guess the stuff going on in Negative Man's backstory, that stuff was really well, but for the most part, everything going on in the present was just kind of meh, and no progress was really made because Danny the Street didn't want to help find Chief because he's afraid of Mr. Nobody. But the stuff with Jane's subplot and Robot Man, all that was pretty funny, so that did make the episode easier to get through. Anyways, I'd have to give this episode like a 4 out of 10. In comparison to other episodes, it just was not a solid episode for me. It kind of was a wasteful episode, in my opinion. And I guess maybe it was to introduce Danny the Street for something really big that will come up later, something more important, maybe. But it did get to the Jane stuff, and that looks like it'll be great. So, what'd you think of this episode? Comment down below. Did you actually like this episode? I just couldn't get into it, man. I could only get into the subplot, not the main plot. But like, subscribe, stay awesome, rock on.